between the Privateers of New Orleans and the Minutemen of Massachusetts. Hope you're having a good evening, everybody. I'm Larry Beal, along with Dan Belwamity. Dan, New Orleans and Massachusetts tonight in the final, and truly a tall order for UMass.
Yeah, well, I think UMass can do the job, Larry. They're a smaller team, very quick. They have to extend their defense. I think they'll pick up New Orleans 94 feet, try to cause some turnovers. Good outside shooting team. New Orleans, on the other hand, size, strength. Timmy Floyd's going to try to get the ball inside, power the ball to the basket, and real important that their big guys do not get in foul trouble.
All right, speaking of big guys, you know that Irvin Magic Johnson has retired from the NBA. Well, there may be another Irvin Johnson on the way to the pros, and this Irvin is the 6'11" star center for the Privateers.
Yeah, and a good one. Irvin Johnson is a walk-on. Unbelievable. The guy's at 23-7 a game. He has taken 34 shots this year. Count them, 34, and he has made 28. So he's got to be leading the country at 84%.
Well, 84% is what Jim McCoy wishes he was shooting for UMass. All-time leading scorer for the Minutemen, but he's really having a hard time hitting his shots.
Well, Jimmy's had a slow start. He has not shot the ball real well, but he did come back in the second half to pick up 16 points against Oregon State in their win. So he's a guy, I think, that will come out and play well for the remainder of the year.
All right, UMass and two teams looking for some national exposure in the land of northern exposure. Starting lineups and opening tip coming up.
ESPN's coverage of the Great Alaska Shootout Championship game is brought to you by GMC Truck, the strength of experience, and by Campbell's Chunky Soup, soup so big it eats like a meal.
Welcome to Sullivan Arena in Anchorage, Alaska for the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout. New Orleans against UMass. Two teams who would love to be in the top 20. And maybe a win tonight can get them along the way. Taking a look at the starting lineups for New Orleans, Melvin Simon, 6'8", 245-pound sophomore, was a high school All-American, super strong with a very, very soft touch. That is head coach Tim Floyd in his fourth year in New Orleans has a fantastic record, a record that resulted in him being rewarded with a contract through the year 2000 for Massachusetts. A big game necessary for 6'7" Harper Williams. He'll have to deal with much bigger Privateers in size. He says, I'm 6'7". I'm not going to get any taller in the next couple of hours, so bring him on. I'm ready for him. And UMass, coached by John Calipari, who has really turned that program around. The Minutemen were down for 10 years until he came along, and now they are thinking NCAA tournament. Take a look at how these teams got to the championship game. You can see New Orleans and UMass. New Orleans beat Eastern Michigan and the University of Massachusetts with a win over Oregon State and Santa Clara to get to the final. Irvin Johnson, 6'11", former walk-on, will jump with 6'3" Will Herndon. And the tap controlled by New Orleans. This is Dwight Myvet. He's a converted shooting guard, now playing the point for New Orleans.
Larry, looks like man-to-man. Starting off right away by UMass. They're going to try to extend, pressure them on the outside.
Simon looking down low for Irvin Johnson. And UMass playing solid man-to-man defense.
Well, a lot of patience so far in the first motion. They're still trying to get the ball inside.
Bennett with the jumper off the mark. And the rebound taken up by Williams. He was stripped by Simon. And UNO will get it back. Just underway here in Alaska, New Orleans and UMass. A battle between the Sun Belt and the Atlantic 10. This is Dennis on the outside. Will not look to put the ball up too much. They really want to get it into either Simon or Johnson.
That's the right guy right there.
The big man.
Nice move over the top.
And Johnson fouled, will go to the line.
Yeah, Irvin Johnson trying to make himself available inside. They worked on it in practice. They've got a size advantage, and I think their ability to enter the ball, and then, of course, Johnson to finish, which he has done. 28 out of 34 for the year.
Foul is on Harper Williams, and really, UMass cannot afford to lose him early to foul trouble. because he's got to be the big man inside at 6'7", giving away a lot of inches to virtually everybody on the New Orleans roster.
Well, you can see Johnson with a nice shooting touch. He's shooting about 75% from the foul line.
So 2 free throws by Slim, and New Orleans on the board. UMass almost knocked away, stolen away by Johnson, but they retain possession.
Oh, both teams man-to-man.
Jim McCoy looking to get off early.
Oh, no ball.
Loses it, gets it back, and puts it in. And this is something we saw Massachusetts work on, trying to put that pressure on. But here, my vet gets it up the court quickly to Bennett.
Now, Larry, that'll get you out of the press in a hurry. My vet handled that superbly, brought it all the way through the press, gave it up for an easy basket. Now, the second time around, I'm not sure if UMass is going to want to extend their defense quite as easily.
Will Herndon inside, and it's tipped away by Johnson.
Now, if they're not going to make that call, if they're going to let that one go, that's a real advantage for New Orleans. I thought pretty good defense, though. It seems like he got a lot of ball.
New Orleans with a 4-2 lead.
Oh, they got to throw it in there. I think every opportunity you got to look to get it inside.
Every possession, they will look down to either Simon, who's got it now, or Johnson. Simon, no basket, and he'll go to the line.
Yeah, and the one thing I like about New Orleans is Simon inside and Irvin Johnson. If they do not have the shot, they're going to pitch the ball back out again. They're very unselfish. They're very well disciplined. They know exactly what they want to accomplish. And if they get guard play, this is going to be a very tough team to beat.
Called it a non-shooting foul, so the Privateers will inbound.
You got a spot, don't come across.
Watch the double lob. Well, they've got a play set up for Johnson down low where they do 2 lobs, and never mind the lob, he'll take it in himself.
Oh, I like that one. Irvin Johnson.
McCoy answers at the other end for UMass.
Well, you said at the top of the show, is McCoy going to come out and shoot it 1 for 10 as he did in the first half against Oregon State, or come out and shoot it in the second half against Oregon State, and he is picking it up right where he left off.
My vet can't get the roll. Johnson over the back of Harper Williams. But one good sign for Tim Floyd and UNO at this point is that they are able to deal with the pressure.
Yes, they have been able to deal with it. Here's the jumper, and then over the back, Irvin Johnson, good block out that time inside. Now, Johnson can afford to get in foul trouble. He has to be very careful. He's got to think to himself, 2 maximum fouls in the first half.
He had foul trouble in New Orleans' semifinal victory, sat for much of the game as McCoy takes it into the lane. Rebound off to Bennett. New Orleans with an early 2-point lead.
Oh, a lot of fronting inside by UMass. They're just trying to deny the ball, not let it go. Look high to low. Look in there.
They double team, triple team Simon, knocked away by Anton Brown, and a 3-on-1 for UMass. Brown will pull up. Way off. But Harper Williams is there.
Now Williams very active. Left-handed, able to get it off the ground and put it back in. Now we thought this would be a kind of a photo game. I mean, these two teams very evenly matched. Inside strength of New Orleans against the outside perimeter game of UMass.
Both coaches expected it to be the type of game that would go down to the wire. Leonard Bennett with the ball, probably the best perimeter player that New Orleans has. If he heats up, it gives them a tremendous advantage. As you see the soft touch of Melvin Simon.
Now only a sophomore.
And how many guys 6'8", 245 can shoot like that?
Now, here's a guy, when they recruited him, he was recruited by everybody, right out of New Orleans. Well, that's a goaltend. Stay away from
goaltending on Johnson.
That's an easy call.
Timeout on the court. 15:35 to play in the first half. And we are tied at 8 in the finals of the Great Alaska Shootout from Anchorage. William
Herndon, Larry, who is trying to penetrate and get the shot off, but Irvin Johnson with really a ill-advised goaltend there around the basket. Easy call, but it shows you the intimidating force that Johnson can be. He's just got to keep it under control. And really, this is a guy that's just started to play basketball. I mean, he's a walk-on. He knocks on the coach's door 3 years ago, says, I want to come to school here. The guy's 6'11".
He's working in a grocery store. And a lot of head coaches may want to head down to the A&P.
Yeah, right.
Who's in the frozen food section tomorrow?
Let me tell you something. They're recruiting the wrong places. I mean, they're going to where all these good high school players are.
Man-to-man pressure. And he's tipped away by Harper Williams. As we said early, he's 6'7", got the long arms, and he's used to playing much taller people inside. UMass looking to break an 8-8 tie. This is Anton Brown, the point guard. And they've got Mike Williams, who's checked into the game, number 10, for UMass. Williams down low. Over Slim Johnson.
Yeah, that's going to cause some problems. Harper Williams, just good team concept that time to get it inside and attack the big guy. Of course, looking to pick up his second foul.
My vet open for a moment, decides not to take the shot. As you mentioned earlier, Dan, they will look again and again and again inside to try to get the ball there. And that's why.
Probably a pretty good reason to get him the ball. The guy's shooting 84% for the year.
Irvin Johnson now with 6 points, and we're tied at 10. Johnson was 6'3" in high school as a senior. Really didn't play much varsity basketball at all. Grew to 6'11" while he was in the grocery store. Williams with a miss, run down by Herndon. Open at the top of the circle is Williams, and he can't hit.
Now, Irvin Johnson's impressive. Plays hard, good composure on the floor, pretty good jumper, needs to put on maybe another 15, 20 pounds, but I mean, he's a prospect.
Johnson at the high post, and
bodies falling all over.
In the deck, Simon, along with Will Herndon, went down there. And here is Johnson with an offensive rebound.
Yeah, Larry, I think the area that New Orleans has to look for is maybe high to low.
Johnson rejected by Herndon, brought a foul on the play.
Well, you saw Herndon, very strong, great jumper at about 6'3". Went up and caused some problems, but got Johnson with the body that time.
And here is Lou Rowe, a talented freshman from Atlantic City, New Jersey, checking in for Massachusetts as Herndon will sit down.
And Barbie back in also, and I think that's a key guy for UMass. I mean, Barbie's just scored too many points and been quite a factor. Number 22, I mean, he needs to get it going.
Here is maybe the man with the best name in the tournament, number 30, Luigi Dyer, as my vet will sit down.
2 shots, guys.
2 shots for Johnson coming up here. Career high 25 points. And he got it earlier in this tournament. He's a player who is really just developing his skills. You mentioned really hasn't played all that much. Coming on offensively in this his junior year.
Oh, he's got a beautiful shooting touch. It's very difficult to teach, but he's a terrific shooter.
That was a miss by McCoy. Rebound, Anton Brown.
UMass just not shooting the ball very well. I mean, they need to put those shots down.
My vet looking inside. Simon gets the contact, and he'll go to the line. You can see the problem for UMass defending the 2 big guys down low.
Well, Larry, especially if they defend him one-on-one, because that time Barbie gets caught behind of Simon, and Simon with his strength and power almost able to get that one back up and in. You might look for UMass to drop somebody down, look to double team, and force Simon and Johnson to pitch the ball back outside.
Simon, a high school All-American, decided to remain home at play in New Orleans. Wanted his family to see him play, and also although he was recruited by many big-time programs, said, hey, I want to play immediately. I don't want to sit on the bench while some other teams' big stars are playing for 2 or 3 years. I want to play right now, and he's got the chance in New Orleans.
And he made the most of it. I mean, he's a real factor, big presence out there.
13-10, New Orleans lead.
Still straight up man-to-man by New Orleans.
Lou Rowe, the freshman, showing his touch.
Real bonus for UMass. Rowe comes out and hits his first jumper out of Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I look for him to get a little more playing time as the year goes on.
And I think we've got a little problem with the basket microphone. So they're going to tend to that with 12:28 left to go in the first half of play. And a 3-point lead for the Privateers of New Orleans in the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout in Anchorage. That accounts for 2 more points for UMass, so Tim Floyd's team with a 13-12 edge here in the finals. And what we expected to see, a lot of pressure from UMass, particularly in the backcourt. So far, New Orleans has done a pretty good job of handling it. Simon, long count there before he was able to get the ball in.
Yeah, this is the critical part of the game for New Orleans. They must handle the pressure, still have time.
And they go to the big man Johnson to get it across the timeline.
Not looking really to score against it. It's just making sure they can get the ball up the floor and get into their half-court offense. That's where they want it. Half-court, powered to the basket.
Simon can't hit down low. And here come the Minutemen.
Still a pretty good shot, though. I mean, you'd like to get that shot all the time if you're UNO. Just get it right there, and I'm sure he's going to make most of them.
Barbie trying to post up Bennett down low, and the ball goes out of bounds. Turnover.
See if they go right back to the press. Now, Simon cannot move on the baseline. The ball went out of bounds. It did not go through the basket, so he has to be a little careful not to be running up and down.
Harper Williams checks in for Will Herndon. Herndon only 6'3", but he plays up front very strong. As they double team in the corner, Luigi Dyer gets it out. Bennett trying to run it down, out of bounds. So the teams exchange turnovers, and that was what Tim Floyd was worried about.
Yeah, not being able to handle it. That's only their first turnover against the press. Not a bad idea, though, to throw it down the floor, because if Bennett can gain control, you might get an easy basket. Looks like they're going triangle and 2 this time. Looks like a 3-man zone and man-to-man by 2 other players by New Orleans.
And Rowe, 2 for 2 from the field. He has not played all that well in this tournament. And so with 4 points on 2 for 2 shooting, Coach John Calipari has got to be very happy with Lou Rowe.
Tim Floyd may be saying, I'm not going to that defensive game. I mean, I go triangle and 2. They come right out and hit a jumper.
Gimmick didn't work, and now UMass with a 1-point lead. Luigi Dyer being pestered by McCoy. Bennett. Rebound, Harper Williams. And McCoy will pull it out.
Tenacious rebound by Harper Williams. Looks like he wants the ball, too, as they bring it his way. Now it's triangle and 2 again.
McCoy with Bennett on him, jumps in and out. All alone, Rowe! Over Johnson with authority.
Lou Rowe
with 6 points. And that's got to be a huge surprise for Calipari.
Anytime you get into the type of a triangle and 2 type of defense, you may not be in great position to rebound the ball. You got guys zoning, and the zone is not a strong rebounding defense.
Oh, Dyer to the hoop strong. Would not be denied. And New Orleans within 1 at 16-15 as Williams tight ropes and gets it to Rowe again. He's got 8.
Mike Williams made that happen. Nice penetration, picking up the tempo. UMass would like to get the game in the 70s and 80s, try to force New Orleans to play a little faster, get them out of the half court.
Simon. Off the rim, no good. Rowe with the rebound. Rowe playing an outstanding first half. Barbie to Rowe again. Well, finally a miss. And he gets his own rebound on his back.
It's a great rebound, great effort by Lou Rowe. And an unselfish play by Barbie. Barbie has not scored. He's an integral part of the offense. He could have forced that shot up, but he decided to give it up.
Lou, is he feeling it?
Not that much.
Not that time.
Second thoughts. Bring it out, Lou.
Well, after you miss one, maybe pass it.
Ooh.
McCoy. Oh, an acrobatic shot for the UMass all-time leading scorer. He now has 6.
Big-time shot by Jim McCoy. A little contact not called. In fact, he jumped in.
And UMass extending it out to a 5-point lead. New Orleans wants to get it into Johnson, but Dyer will shoot it and hits. Well, that's what New Orleans really needs. If they get good perimeter play, they'll be a very difficult team to beat.
Another unselfish play by Irvin Johnson to kick it back out to Dyer.
Williams. The bank is open, as these teams have really picked up the pace in the past few minutes.
Well, Michael Williams, only a freshman out of Hartford, Connecticut, has come in to make a real impact. He and Rowe, 2 freshmen, have made a real difference for UMass.
I don't think Coach Calipari could have expected that. As Rowe strips Johnson, saved by Williams. And UMass doing it at both ends. They've got to get that kind of a solid defensive effort to shut down New Orleans big men.
Yeah, New Orleans, surprisingly, has been able to get it inside, but they haven't been able to convert. Simons missed 2 or 3. Johnson got the ball stripped out of his hands. And New Orleans back straight man-to-man. Forget the triangle and 2. They gave up 2 baskets. I'm going to go back and play him straight up. Oh, nice steal
by Dyer. And he lays it up and in. 22-19.
Well, Larry, it's been the bench of both clubs that have come in to really give their team some lift.
Never mind the stars. The guys have come off the pine saying, hey, we're the show tonight. A 3-point lead for Massachusetts here in the first half. His name is Luigi, but he is not Italian. Luigi Lamar Dyer with the steal, takes it end to end.
Yeah, Lou Rowe that time did not make a good pass, and Luigi Dyer came in off the bench, gets a nice steal, and goes end to end to finish the play, and he's really given this club a lift.
Luigi, a senior from Little Rock, Arkansas, averaging 6.5 points a game. Leading scorers so far, Lou Rowe and Slim Johnson, both with 8. And Tim Floyd, along with John Calipari, both very happy with their bench play here in the first half.
I don't think Herndon's trunks are long enough. You want to check Herndon there at 34? I mean, he's got, looks like he got Bermuda shorts on.
Well, let's hope
they're down below his knees.
Zone look now for New Orleans.
Now this is straight zone this time. No triangle and 2. It looks like 1-2-2.
Anton Brown at the top for UMass. Barbie. Off the ball. Herndon! Oh, my! And he'll be called for a foul over the back. Almost a spectacular put-back jam. And he's only 6'3".
On the scouting report, you must say, screen out Herndon. Herndon, Barbie with the jumper, who he's had a tough start, hasn't been able to score. Here's Herndon over the top. Wow. But they call him for contact. Good call.
And lucky he didn't hurt himself because he came down hard. Down low to Johnson, taken away by Herndon.
Excellent defensive play that time by Herndon to come across, get the deflection and the steal.
And right taken away at the other end by Simon. Dennis whips it inside, and Dyer is fouled. He'll shoot 2.
2 good defensive teams. Teddy Dennis that time initiated the fast break, found Dyer inside. Both clubs playing good half-court defense.
6th team foul on Massachusetts. So 1 more, and UNO will enjoy the bonus as Dyer steps up to the line. Luigi had 6 against Idaho and 7 against Eastern Michigan earlier in the Alaska Shootout, and against EMU 1 of 9 from the field shooting with the unique spelling Luigi.
Gotta love that.
And we've got a 1-point game as New Orleans creeps a little bit closer.
Yeah, they're going to stay with the same defense, going to stay in the zone.
Brown for 3. Got it.
Well, every time they've gone zone or triangle at 2, they've given up some hoops.
3-point shot, 25-21 UMass. Myvet back in the game in the backcourt for New Orleans. This is Luigi. 42 is Dennis. Doesn't look to shoot the ball much. Good rebounder and defensive player. Shadowed by Barbie.
I always thought in college basketball, Larry, much easier to defend big guys.
Boy, almost steals it away. Myvet tight roping and falling out of bounds, gets it back to Dennis. You're saying?
No, I was saying big guys inside are much easier to defend because you can front and back them. You can do some different things. I mean, guards, because they handle the ball all the time and are so tremendous in the open court, are much tougher. What a good example tonight, because Irvin Johnson, I don't know if he's missed a shot from the outside, from the inside, but he's having a tough time getting the ball.
Darren Lesh into the game, 6'4" junior for New Orleans, and you saw the pressure of UMass there paying off.
Well, if you're Tim Floyd, you want to go into the second half. It'd be a real bonus if Irvin Johnson does not pick up his second foul. So they're going to zone. They're going to keep him near the basket.
Barbie, free throw line. Tipped up. Williams had it momentarily, but couldn't hang on, and Lesh with a rebound for New Orleans.
It has not been a scintillating game for Barbie. I mean, he is, and could be their best all-around player, but has not had a good first half.
Johnson trying to get position on Herndon, can't do it inside as they swing the ball the opposite way to Simon. Oh, rejected by Harper Williams. And Brown will pull it back out for UMass. Have to be impressed with the interior defense shown by the Minutemen, because they give away so much height, but they're not giving up a lot inside.
I'm a little surprised they've been able to deflect the ball and get some shot blocks without doubling up a lot.
New Orleans remains in the zone. Brown, who just hit from that spot a moment ago. Herndon will shoot it. And hits.
I was going to say, give him that shot. I'm sure.
And he'd say thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure Tim Floyd saying, give him that shot. And Herndon went out and put it down.
6-point lead for the Minutemen. Under 5 minutes to play first half. Larry Beal along with Dan Belwamity as Luigi Dyer shoots and hits. Well, some guys that we did not expect to come up big are playing very well here in the first half. McCoy, UMass all-time leading scorer, adding to the record books.
Yeah, McCoy's
got 8.
Luigi starts the second half. Coaching, he starts. Don't bring him off.
Pass tipped away. And a good foul by Simon, actually, because UMass was off and running. Six-point lead for UMass. And we've got a timeout on the court with 3:51 to play here on the half. And UMass with the shooting of McCoy and little Will Herndon thrown in, up by half a dozen. Well, depending on where you are in the country, if you're in the East, the ACC Big East Challenge is later tonight. If you're watching us from the West, then it is tomorrow. But ACC Big East Challenge action. And if you saw the games today, you'll be watching these games tomorrow or today, depending on where you are. Great tournament.
Yeah, a great tournament, and it's almost a shame that they're not going to have that anymore. But I think it was it's been articulated before that I think that's a kind of situation that really helps both conferences. Connecticut sure looked good, didn't they?
Oh boy,
we saw part of that game, and I mean they got to be one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country. Very deep, tremendous guard play.
6-point lead for UMass. Looking to extend on that. And New Orleans back in a man-to-man. Now we've got a hold on Myvet as he was trying to shadow Jim McCoy.
Only the 3rd team foul New Orleans in the half. So 3 minutes to go in the first half. I mean, they can come out and extend their defense and get a lot more aggressive. Certainly not going to give up any shooting situation unless you follow them in the act. Might as well go out and play them hard.
And we got another whistle inside. And this is another hold on Johnson as Lou Rowe was battling with him for position.
Yeah, both of Johnson's fouls, I think, are ones that could have been avoided. He goes over the back for his first, and then he's just trying to play up on the side and bumps with his body and picks up his second foul. And Tim Floyd certainly does not want Johnson to get 3 in the first half. So see if they go back to a zone to protect Irvin Johnson.
Inbounds to McCoy.
See, I think they go right away to Rowe.
And over the top. Boy, that is risky. Close. He was able to steal the ball away, but he's flirting with disaster there if he picks up number 3.
Yeah, good idea, though, by UMass to go right to the man that Johnson is guarding to try to pick up his 3rd foul.
Dyer over to Myvet. And Johnson wants it inside on Lou Rowe.
Look, Myvet's got to get it to him.
They can't get him the ball. Whoa, all alone. Simon loses the handle. Herndon went down, and Simon was open momentarily, but again, UMass with that quickness on defense. Williams trying to get it to Rowe, and we've got a tie-up, and the arrow pointing in New Orleans' favor.
Good help that time by the New Orleans weak side. Lesh comes in, and
well, you know, they're not used to these games. They've got 2 arrows on the table there. They only have the Great Alaska Shootout once a year, and they've got 2 arrows on the scorer's table, and they're pointing in opposite directions.
Yeah, they want to trick everybody.
Well, they
did it.
And McCoy traveling. New Orleans in the Sun Belt Conference. They were in the American South. Figured to be in the running for the title in the newly formed Sun Belt.
They should be in the running. You've got Louisiana Tech, South Alabama. They've got a lot of good teams. Western Kentucky.
Brown strips it away. Dyer with a dive. Can't come up with the ball.
A very strong conference, the newly formed Sun Belt. Atlantic 10 is no slouch. I mean, they've had a lot of success in postseason play.
Or is it the Atlantic 9?
Oh, Atlantic 9, 10, 11. It's a Sun Belt 11.
Wow, everybody diving for the loose ball. And now I know for sure which way the arrow is pointing. New Orleans will have this ball. 29-23. UMass leading. And at halftime, John Saunders and Jim Valvano with scores and highlights from the ACC Big East Challenge and other games around the country.
A little surprised, Larry, that New Orleans really didn't take Johnson out of the game. I mean, flirting with the idea of him picking up his 3rd foul, which I think could be a disastrous move for the Privateers if he does get it. And you've got 2 minutes to go, although they are down.
Myvet trying to work on Anton Brown. Meanwhile, there's 2 battles going on for position in the pivot. Simon with a drive, and he was fouled.
And one thing Simon has to learn to do is when he gets the ball in the pivot, he continually brings the ball down below his waist and allows smaller players to knock the ball away. He has to learn to keep it around his chest and look to turn around and shoot.
Harper Williams checking back in for the Minutemen. Try to keep their big men fresh. Kennard Robinson, big number 42, is also in the game. He is 6'10".
Yeah, Kennard Robinson's been a part-time player at UMass, but has played well of late. So John Calipari's given him a chance.
7th team foul against UMass, and Simon at the line converts on the front end of the 1-and-1. Simon, an 81% free throw shooter.
Naturally. Of course, you did it to him.
Well, he was an 81% free throw shooter. 5-point lead for UMass.
Now, see if UMass takes the time to go inside. Well, they did.
Barbie posting up on Dyer. They tried to look there early in the game and they didn't have anything. And Barbie with his first basket of the game.
Yeah, why was Dyer guarding Barbie? He might have been caught in a switch, but good recognition that time in a half court by UMass to pick up the mismatch in the score.
7-point lead for the Minutemen, largest of the night. Myvet with the drive and dish and a block by either Robinson or Williams as Johnson was going up for the big dunk.
Now I need you to think you back it out. If you're UMass, look for a good one or try to get the ball inside. They did it again. That's on Simon. Well, Simon with 2. Johnson with 2. And they only had 5 team fouls.
Coming up at halftime, Bobby Bonilla with his big decision. Whatever he decides is going to come away with a load of cash, and we'll have the update on what Bobby is thinking at the half. 30 seconds left in the first half, and UMass will play for 1 shot.
Sure, shot clock off. Utilize it and look to maybe shoot it with about 5 or 6 seconds to go to give yourself a chance to follow it in if you miss. Shot clock down to about 7. Get it up right now.
Here is McCoy. Baseline jumper.
Can't do it any better than that. Well, they came on, played a great last 10 minutes. UMass did an outstanding job, not only at the offensive end, but at the defensive end also.
33-24 at the half. UMass on top after this break. John Saunders and Jim Valvano get you up to date on all the scores and highlights.
In just a moment, 9-point deficit for the Privateers. What do they do to make it up?
One of the problems with a club that is low scoring, and New Orleans is a low scoring team, and a team that prides itself on its defense, a 9-point lead is a little bit bigger than a club that's kind of racehorse. I think number one New Orleans must do is obviously be a little more effective offensively. To do that, UMass's press bothered them. You know, they try to beat the press, getting it here to A to B, never attempted to score. And that allows a team to press you the entire game. What you have to do is beat the press and go to score, loosen the game up a little bit more.
A lot of people don't know about UMass. They remember that Dr. J went there, but this is a team that was picked by many to be the #1 team in the Atlantic 10 this year. That includes West Virginia and Temple, so this is a good team. Let's return to the Great Alaska Shootout to Larry Beal and Dan Belwamity.
All right, thanks, guys. UMass by 9 at the half. They have come up with 8 steals, a lot of those steals by their interior players. And Coach John Calipari was telling us, boy, I'm really worried about how my guys are going to play down low. They've done a great job.
Yes, they have done a good job, and they've been able to contain New Orleans. And the problem is really that the big guys of New Orleans have not shot the ball. I mean, they haven't been able to get it and go ahead and shoot. But significant really was the play of Luigi Dyer. I thought Dyer did a tremendous job when he came into the ball game. He was able to give really he ignited that club, and he got 10 points in the first half, and he was a real bright spot. On the other hand, for UMass, Lou Rowe, I mean, the freshman from Atlantic City comes right into ball game, gets 3 or 4 baskets, and really gave his club a real lift.
And here's a look at our halftime statistics. Massachusetts lighting it up. If they're going to shoot 64%, it's going to be tough for anybody to beat them. And here's the stat that's a surprise is 13 rebounds over New Orleans, 13-7. Not too many people could have predicted that.
Well, there's not a lot of rebounds to get when one team shoots at 64%. There wasn't a lot of missed shots. So, but yes, New Orleans has to do a much better job of getting some second efforts, and they haven't been able to miss, get it back, and put the ball in, because UMass has been able to screen out and not allow them to get that second effort.
Coach Calipari has got it going at UMass. What can New Orleans do to try to get that man, big number 40, the ball?
Well, I think New Orleans has to, establish a little patience and maybe look high to low. And the big guy, Irvin Johnson's going to have to make himself a little bit more available. I mean, he does have 2 fouls. And the guy's shooting 84% for the year, and he hasn't missed a shot tonight. He's 2 out of 2 from the floor. He's 4 for 4 from the line. So common sense is going to tell you we need to find a way to get this guy the ball, and I think he has to establish himself as a force and come and look for it a little bit.
UMass with the ball as we start the second half. Will Herndon hesitates and fires. That's a little bit of offense that UMass really did not expect.
Now, Herndon makes a second jumper. I mean, he brings a big guy away from the basket and just go ahead and drills it.
Dwight Myvet with the ball to Luigi Dyer. As predicted, Coach, he does start the second half.
Well, he had such a fine first half that you've got to look for some offense, and Dyer has been given offense. He's the only one who's been able to give New Orleans a lift.
Luigi off the mark with a 3, and here comes UMass.
Now they're going to get it.
A technical foul, I believe, on Tim Floyd.
It's probably a little frustrating for Tim Floyd. I mean, his club is a half-court, keep the numbers down kind of a team, and he has not been able to get the ball to his big guys. And then they start with an outside jumper, and maybe he thought one of his big guys was hit inside, and he jumps on the official right away and picks up a technical. In fact, the officials, we got 2 from the ACC and 1 from the Pac-10.
Floyd has done a fantastic job in New Orleans, as McCoy does get the roll on the first free throw. Got a smile out of him on that.
Well, if you're a New Orleans fan, the one thing you didn't want to happen is UMass to come right out and, they got a 9-point lead at halftime, and they come out and get the first couple of points of the second half. First 3, in fact, and the ball out of bounds.
So a 12-point lead for the Minutemen.
And I'm not really sure that New Orleans has the kind of defensive pressure against a smaller, quicker team that can force turnovers. And that's really not a good sign for the Pride. Oh, nice lob and dunk.
The alley-oop slam. Wow.
All right, they're just put on a little half-court clinic that time, a little dummy offense, and all of a sudden back screen, lob, and dunk.
14-point lead for the Minutemen, who are looking to go 5-0. And New Orleans desperately needs the ball inside, and Bennett will do it himself. Never mind dumping it into the big guy, takes it to the hole strong.
It's the first interior basket.
Turnover by UMass, and New Orleans with a chance to get something going here.
Yeah, first time they've been able to go to the basket and get something relatively easy. Need to back it up now with another hoop. Simon also 32. I mean, if they're playing over the top, let's bring someone to the high post and maybe initiate at the high post and lob it inside.
Simon had it poked away by Herndon, and official Duke Edsel from the ACC with a foul call. Herndon's 3rd personal foul.
And New Orleans can ill afford to let this game get out of control. I mean, they need to go ahead. As you see the rebounding graphic, UMass, a smaller team, but able to box out, able to get a lot of defensive rebounds.
Rowe back in.
It didn't take him long to get back in either. You guys had the great first half, so they're in there right away.
Simon, soft touch from the big man.
Sweet jumper by Simon.
Really got to get him going. He's only got 4 points in the game. And it's now back to a 10-point margin for UMass.
And they're doing all of this without Barbie having a very good game. I mean, he's one of their, really maybe their best all-around player, and he's been quiet.
Rowe to the hoop, can't hit. Rebound to Johnson.
This is really a half-court tempo team. I mean, they're not looking to break. They're not looking to really get the ball in the open court. I mean, they're very content to come down the floor and execute their half-court offense.
17.5 minutes to play as Bennett takes the baseline, rejected by Williams. Only 6'7", but he plays much bigger, Dan.
Good block that time by Harper Williams. This is a veteran team. I mean, UMass they're playing mainly a junior-senior lineup. They've been through the wars, so watch a 5 here. Watch a 5. No, 5 seconds.
Did not get the timeout. My vet trying to get the timeout called, and he just waited a second too long. So the turnover, and UMass gets it back. And you can see Coach Floyd over there looking at Steve Wilson, the Pac-10 official, and saying, you know, I don't think I better get another tee. I'm going to be watching this game on cable.
Yeah, he was careful that time. I'm sure didn't like that call. Now UMass in control.
Anton Brown to McCoy. McCoy bottled up nicely. Williams, the lefty, will shoot it. Roll. Oh, aggressive to the hoop. Williams can't hit, and Luigi Dyer comes down with it.
Well, you have to screen out Harper Williams. He takes the jumper from the top of the key. He runs straight in under the basket. Nobody touches him, gets the ball back, and actually New Orleans very fortunate that Williams doesn't put that ball back in.
Called it a jump ball, alternating arrow in favor of the Privateers.
Quickness to the ball. So important to be an excellent rebounder. Harper Williams shows you why he's a good rebounder. I mean, he gets to that ball in a hurry.
Luigi with a drive, slipped down, and a foul called inside. I believe it was Rowe. And the big freshman will sit down as Will Herndon comes back in for UMass. Also coming in, Reggie Garrett for the Privateers as Coach Floyd looks for some offense. 10-point deficit for the Privateers as they can't get it into Simon. Boy, UMass doing a good job defensively on the big man, but Luigi says forget the big guys, the little guy will do the trick. Dyer now with 12.
Now they're going to get Harper Williams this time away from the ball. Moving screen. Kind of a turnover that New Orleans desperately needs just to get themselves back in it.
With a chance to cut it to 6 now.
And it wasn't too long ago. They're down, what, 13-14. Zone 1-2-2 by UMass. It's not a good perimeter shooting team. I mean, New Orleans is a club that likes to get it inside. They do not feature, not a good three-point shooting team at all. I mean, Bennett's normally their guy, number 34, but of course Dyer's also had a good ball game, so they're going to have to extend on those two guys. My vet, 25, you just go ahead. I mean, I wouldn't guard him on the outside. Let's see if he can make it.
Simon, the turnaround, soft touch.
Good player.
And it's back to 6, 38-32. Melvin Simon with 8. Williams to answer with a jump hook, can't do it. Williams with a rebound again, and the reverse.
Harper Williams just freelancing it to the basket. Just no contact on him after he shoots the basketball. Irvin Johnson relies on his size to try to rebound, but with Williams, you've got to box him out because he's just too quick.
And you saw Johnson as Dyer drives again. Oh, big follow.
That was a double dunk.
It won't count, though.
Double dunk. I mean, it was either Johnson or Simon. They kind of, no, I'll take, no, you take it. Okay, boom. Didn't count.
Foul was on Harper Williams, his 3rd. He fouled Dyer on the drive, and you know that was one of the rare occasions when Slim Johnson actually got his hands on the ball.
No, only because the man that was guarding Johnson went for the block, and then Johnson just had a free hand to go to the basket.
Fred Hill coming in for the Privateers, 6'5" junior from Jackson, Mississippi. And here is Luigi Dyer at the line. Dyer perfect from the line. 4 for 4 in this game. And with 15 minutes and 11 seconds left in this ball game, New Orleans creeping up. They've got it to within 6. Sunday night, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will look to spoil the wild card playoff hopes of the Minnesota Vikings. Sunday Night Football here on ESPN starting at 8 p.m. final game of the Alaska Shootout.
And hope to be continued Alaska Shootout.
Well, that's a big question at this point.
That's right.
Because the people here at Alaska are seeking an exemption from the NCAA. They've played this tournament every year before December 1st. They play during the Thanksgiving weekend. New NCAA legislation will move the college basketball season into December, a later start, and they need that exemption to keep this tournament going.
And the other thing they want to make sure is if somebody comes up here and plays 3 games, it doesn't count on their schedule, because if it starts to count, then that's going to be a problem, when a lot of teams will not want to come up and count the 3. So let's hope they do get the exemption. They put on a good tournament, very nice people.
Whoa, my vet. Tumbling over McCoy. He bounced up quickly, but landed on his head and his neck. Man, scary.
That's why you have to stay down on defense. What you call don't leave your feet. My vet did on the pump fake. Fortunate that he's all right.
Wow. Dwight Myvet, 6-foot senior out of Los Angeles, played at Crenshaw High School. As UMass inbounds.
And Myvet has been converted this year to the point. You know, he played a number 2 guard last year. And not looking to shoot it very much.
New Orleans within striking distance at 6 as McCoy says, never mind striking distance, strike this.
Now McCoy's too good of a player to shoot the ball the way he started the season. Now beginning to pick it up.
McCoy with 13 points. And that's what Coach Calipari expected. His all-time leading scorer, heating it up here in the finals.
UMass looking like, Larry, they're trying to switch everything inside.
Johnson rejected from behind by Williams. 3-on-3, and now they'll pull it back out.
A nice decision. If you do not have numbers in the break, bring it back and get something in a half court.
McCoy over Johnson, and here is Bennett out of the pack. New Orleans with Luigi Dyer trying to get something inside, and they just can't do it, Dan.
Now Luigi's tried to do it all by himself. He hasn't had a lot of help. There's high to low. But it's not Simon you're throwing a ball to, so there's a little problem in there.
Myvet with the fall away. Nice shot.
Yeah, Myvet not averaging a lot of shots per game, but
his first basket of the night. And Williams tries to answer and does for UMass.
Yeah, I like Williams. Williams only a freshman. I mean, in both halves, he's made an impact.
And here is Melvin Simon coming back in for New Orleans, and Lou Rowe checking back in for the Minutemen. Every time the Privateers get close, it seems like UMass comes up with a big shot. Under 13 minutes to play in this game. Bennett with the ball guarded by Barbie. Dyer to put it up and hit.
Big game for Luigi Dyer.
Back to a 6-point game.
Dyer has 18 already.
McCoy guarded by Myvet. And UMass, time is on their side as they patiently run a little clock here.
And New Orleans has not made very many fouls. I think they made 5 in the first half and only 1 in the second.
McCoy loses it. Simon with the
look out.
Johnson.
Ooh, that might be intentional. See if they get an intentional, not playing the ball. I think that's got to be, in my opinion, you've got to call that intentional. Not playing the ball, he bumped him and rode him all the way under the basket, but I didn't see the sign.
Mike Williams committing the foul.
See if he plays the ball. You're not playing the ball in that situation.
No, it was almost a tackle, really kind of just a push by Williams, doing whatever he can to try to prevent the basket. Fortunately, nobody hurt there. Actually, Williams got the worst of the spill.
Well, you saw right there why Irvin Johnson needs to put on a little weight. I mean, the strength would have really helped because he could have completed that play with a dunk. Instead, he was pushed underneath the basket by a smaller man and not able to get the hoop.
And Johnson, who's had 25 points and 24 in 2 Alaska Shootout games, with 9 so far, and he'll get another opportunity here because of a lane violation against the Minutemen.
Doesn't miss many shots. I mean, I think the only shot he's missed from the floor tonight is one he had blocked from behind.
Well, the big problem here is he's not getting many shots either.
Not getting no second efforts by Irvin Johnson. And, of course, the Minutemen have collapsed on him, and he's been shut down.
A 4-point game now as New Orleans, down by double digits earlier, has come back. Herndon to the hoop. In and out. But they keep it alive. Barbie was blocked. And look at them. Work the boards. Lou Rowe can't hit. And Williams finally finishes it off.
It's volleyball time. I mean, how many is that? About 5?
Credit the basket to Herndon. And he has 10 now. I can tell you this is something that the Privateers did not expect. Myvet open. Can't hit the 10-footer. And Rowe with a nice box out on Simon.
Yeah, Rowe's made a big difference. This has to be Rowe's best game so far.
McCoy.
Uh-oh. Timeout, maybe. Timeout.
Tim Floyd is up. And we'll see if he wants the TO. 15 points for McCoy. Easily his best game in the shootout. Back up to an 8-point lead. It was down to 4 just moments ago.
Give it to him in there.
Bennett. Off the rim, and McCoy skying for the rebound.
Well, he sure like Johnson's poise. I mean, he's open. He didn't get the ball. He doesn't pout.
Rowe blocked by Johnson, but a foul called on Slim. That is number 3 on Irvin Johnson.
Last time down the floor, Johnson had good position inside. Instead, the shot came from the corner, and he kind of hung in there. He ran down the floor. He committed a foul, but I mean, it wasn't out of frustration.
Rowe, who had 8 points in the first half, more offense than the Minutemen usually get from him, looking to try to get on the board here in the second half. Lou, the New Jersey High School Player of the Year, as a senior, recruited by just about everybody, and can't convert from the line. So it remains an 8-point game. Simon had position for a moment on Williams, and he gets the ball now. Barely drew iron.
I don't think he did draw. I think that was a 5-footer that went 9.
McCoy loves that spot, as you can see.
Oh, they're going to get a foul on Johnson away from the ball. His 4th.
Harper Williams is the man who is down, and you have to admire the hustle because they're doing it with sheer determination inside.
Well, they're running a half-court motion well. They're getting a perimeter jumper. They're putting it down. They're playing good defense. You know, we said at the top, Larry, it's the perimeter play of Mass against the interior play of New Orleans, and New Orleans hasn't been able to score inside.
All right, that's 4 fouls on Johnson. We'll see how New Orleans tries to get back into it when we come back. Has won the rebounding battle thus far, accounting for a 10-point lead, and big trouble for the Privateers. Foul number 4 on Irvin.
Situation now for New Orleans is whether they can keep that man from picking up his 5th foul, and Tim Floyd had some decisions to make, and he decided to go with Johnson, keep him in the ball game, and I'm sure UMass is going to try to go right at him. But, you know, when you're down 10, I mean, there's not a lot of decisions to make. I mean, you can't take him out at this point. Just hope he can play the last 9 or 10 minutes in foul trouble and hang in there.
And we've got a foul as McCoy was trying to take the ball to the hoop. Foul is on Dennis, his first. 4th team foul on New Orleans. UMass will play it in again. Knocked away by Dyer. Dennis to the deck, loses the ball. Nice play by Anton Brown to scramble in there. And we've got a jump ball, the arrow, in favor of UMass. I hesitate every time now because I have 2 arrows over there.
I think they got it right this time.
Can't be too careful.
Yeah, Larry was really throwing the first half. He looked over there, and they had arrows going both ways.
All right, they got the other arrow gone now.
Yeah, they took away the orange one on the other side.
10-point lead for the Minutemen with just over 10 minutes to play in the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout. Dyer almost with a steal, and Bennett with a foul.
Good aggressiveness and a good chance defensively by New Orleans to go for the ball. Bennett does pick up the foul, but almost had the steal, and that's what they need. They need some stops. They need to go ahead and try to create some turnovers and take some chances defensively. Dyer almost had it on this sequence, and then Bennett jumps in and makes the foul, but still not a shooting foul. So Anton Brown just had to take the ball back out of bounds. Next one's a shooting foul. No, it's only 5, so they got another one to take.
Each team with 5 fouls in this half.
Oh, see if they go to Harper Williams. He's being guarded by
Johnson, who's got 4.
Yeah, you might as well take a look at him. I mean, you know, take a few possessions and...
McCoy with the floater, and it goes out of bounds off of 2 New Orleans hands. Dennis and Johnson both up high.
And Johnson, you know, in fact, last year was the 7th leading rebounder in the country. No, so he's a pretty good package. I mean, he can do a lot of things for you.
Just a junior, and the question was raised whether he will go hardship and come out. And he told me just before the game, he's 24 years old because he had those 3 years when he wasn't playing and wasn't in school and was working in a grocery store before he dropped in on Tim Floyd. And here's Simon with a breakaway.
Good under control dunk that time by Simon. He wanted to make sure that he did not turn the ball over.
McCoy.
That's over the back, Barbie.
Back on Barbie.
I'm really surprised that UMass just has not brought the ball to the side of Irvin Johnson, especially when he's guarded by Harper Williams, who can score in here. Even if you waste 1 or 2 or 3 times down the floor. Here's good control by the big guy, Simon, to finish the play. He wanted to make sure there that the ball was not slapped out of his hand.
Big man under control. Just to finish the thought on Johnson, he said that he's planning on coming back for his senior year. He would love to play in the NBA, but feels he needs another year of work.
Oh, I don't think there's any question he needs another year. I mean, he's not that mature at this point of his career just to step right in. I mean, he's a guy that's a bit of a project, but has a lot of tools, and 1 more year would do him well.
Johnson underneath the basket. Bad decision there as he tried to get it to Simon, and taken off by UMass.
All right, now let's see if they bring it over to Harper Williams. See if they try to isolate and reverse the ball. Now let them post up and give him the ball right there. Now that's something they got to do.
That'll work.
Absolutely.
And Johnson gambled on the steal. Williams to the hoop strong. He now has 8 points and a 10-point Minuteman lead.
Yeah, John Calipari, he's the one that called that from the side. Very significant play because I'm sure they're going to go right back to it the next time down the floor. Well executed.
Almost knocked away by Herndon.
This is a team, see, it really doesn't shoot the 3-point shot very well, so it's hard for them to make up a lot of points without getting some steals and turnovers.
McCoy all over Bennett. Draws the foul, and he'll go to the line. But you can really see the problem that Tim Floyd has if he runs into a team that is able to defend his big players, as John Calipari has come up with a scheme that works. His perimeter game just isn't there.
No, he told us that before. He said, you know, if they do defend us inside, you know, we're probably not going to win this game. In fact, he takes Simon out of the ball game, so I'm sure he won't keep him out for long.
Hill back in for the Privateers as Bennett rattles the rim. No good. 7:38 to play, a 10-point lead for UMass. Bennett makes 1 of 2, and we've got a timeout on the court. The Minutemen of Massachusetts looking to go 5-0 with a win here tonight, and they're well on their way, up by 9.
On SportsCenter, Houston's run and shoot tries to slip past Gang Green. It was a husky start to the ACC Big East Challenge. We'll tell you where Bobby Bowe is going to go. Join Mike Tirico and Jim Bergamo at 11:30 Pacific.
John Calipari's team leading by 9 here in the second half. And his is a great story. Hired at age 28, then the youngest Division I head coach in the country. Took over a program that had not had a winning season in 10 years. First year went 10-18. Next year 17-14, and an NIT appearance again last year. An NIT appearance after going 20-13, and this year the Minutemen have their sights set on the NCAA.
Yeah, John's really done a nice job. Very well coached team. In fact, both these coaches, you know, we saw them in practice. Very well disciplined. The players react well to them. Well, both these clubs are going to win a lot of games this year. Of course, John was an assistant at Kansas and then at Pitt before getting his opportunity, and he's made the most of it. All right, let's see if they swing it again, and this time Rowe is the player. Here's Rowe on the outside. He's being guarded by Johnson. See if they try to post up the freshman Lou Rowe.
Time definitely on the side of UMass at this point. No hurry for them to shoot.
Well, it'll be a great possession for them if they can go ahead and utilize the clock and get a good shot near the end. Shot clock down to about 8.
Williams.
Oh, perfect.
On the baseline. Wow. Tough shot.
Well, that's a frustrating sequence for New Orleans. Not only do they take the 45, but they score at the end, and they get a great shot. Privateers, they got to make something happen.
Williams with 10 puts his team up 11.
That's good, that's good.
Dyer's got to maybe look to shoot it on the outside. Williams right up on him, but
this is an offense as Dennis loses it off his foot, poked away nicely by Barbie, but the New Orleans offense real difficult to come from behind with.
no, Barbie's not had a great offensive night, but he's played solid defensively. He's rebounded the ball, does not make mistakes. He set a little screen here, see if he can pick up a foul, but Dyer recognized. Well, they're going to go clock again. See, when you have guards that can handle the ball and big guys that can go outside, I mean, you're in a position defensively, New Orleans, you know, they can't get any steals. So now it's just going to be a question of whether they can run the clock down and get a good shot and execute their offense. This is a pretty good one here if they can get it up.
Barbie, oh, nice pass to Rowe.
Barbie, get it in the air. No, I'm not going to shoot it. I'll give it up.
And Rowe with 10 now.
Making it look easy.
UMass extending the lead with time running down here in the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout. Simon has it poked away. Luigi Dyer out to Bennett for 3. Rebound Rowe.
Has done it all. I mean, Lou Rowe has rebounded, scored. Probably a guy that's going to really challenge to get in that lineup. I mean, I don't know if you can keep him out too long.
Very talented freshman. And especially when you get into Atlantic 10 conference games and playing bigger teams, as Anton Brown goes to the hoop.
Well, they're dictating the tempo now, Larry. I mean, they just are running every offense they have to perfection. And, of course, New Orleans taking some chances, not able really to pick up any steals, and UMass just walking it in.
Irvin Johnson and Melvin Simon have really been neutralized. Simon double-teamed. Williams with the block, but also a little touch on the hand. And so Simon will go to the line.
Well,
fourth foul on Williams.
Yeah, it's really significant that Williams has not picked up that 4th foul in a long time. And he picks it up now, but, you know, the game's about over right now with 4.5 to go. So he's able to play quite a while without picking up his 4th personal foul.
Barbie out and McCoy in for UMass, as Reggie Garrett comes in for the Privateers. And we will take a break with time ticking down here in the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout in Anchorage. 4:43 to play, and UMass on their way to the championship. This is the place to be coming up here on ESPN. Missouri versus Arkansas. The Shack Attack, LSU against 3rd-ranked Arizona, and Arizona State against New Mexico. All Saturday here on ESPN.
Yeah, a lot of good ball games there. I mean, Arizona, of course, you know, they've won so many games at home, and Lute Olson's team, again, probably the early season favorite in the Pac-10 Conference. Well, UCLA certainly has demonstrated with their win over Indiana and subsequent win over Long Beach State that, you know, they're going to make it rough for the Wildcats.
Melvin Simon shooting 2.
I'll be really interested to see how LSU plays against Arizona, only because, you know, they did not play very well against Vegas. I mean, LSU went into Vegas, and Vegas isn't down. I mean, you may not see them a lot this year, but believe me, I mean, they're a pretty good team.
Well, they lost all 5 starters.
Doesn't matter.
But they demonstrated, yes, J.R. Ryder, Elmore Spencer. They still have some talent in Tark's final year. Simon cuts it to a 13-point game with 4.5 to play. UMass well in control as they look to stay unbeaten at 5-0.
Yeah, their goal right now is just to go ahead and use as much of the clock as they possibly can.
Reach and foul on Garrett, trying to make something happen against Anton Brown.
Not a bad foul. Still not a shooting foul, so they need to go ahead and allow UMass to take it out of bounds and just get up on them. And if you get beat for a backdoor layup, then you get beat. But certainly you can't allow UMass to just run the clock because they've scored the last 2 or 3 times they've done it right at the end.
Will Herndon back in for the Minutemen. 16 fouls on New Orleans. And they need to make something happen in a big way here. They need several steals just to get close. Ooh, and there's one of them as Garrett swoops in.
Oh, and he
misses the layup. Oh, my goodness.
Well, that typifies the way the whole second half has gone for New Orleans. They finally get a steal, and they can't make it.
Reggie Garrett, the freshman from Brandon, Mississippi, with a brilliant steal and a less than brilliant conversion.
I thought he was going to look to dunk the ball, really, in the open court. I mean, he had a lot of time to gather himself, and it's got to be frustrating for him. He gets in the ball game, the freshman, and makes a nice steal, but unable to get it down. Yeah, here's the anticipation. Herndon, not a good pass, and here all day to bring this one in. Just lost it on the way up, and Simon comes underneath and hits the ball through the basket. At least Simon didn't anticipate he was going to make it. I mean, he did the right thing. Anticipate your teammate will always miss a breakaway, but he wasn't in position to get the ball and put it in.
Barbie missing on the front end of the 1-and-1 as Myvet shoots it quickly, tipped up, and tipped in by Johnson.
Yeah, one of the few offensive rebounds by Johnson in this ballgame.
He has only 12 points in this game, well below his average.
Of course, Harper Williams isn't in the game, and that's probably a real factor of why Johnson got that one. There's a foul. That's
a pretty convincing foul.
Yes, Simon doesn't just touch you. I mean, he goes after you. He wants to knock you down.
When he fouls you, you know about it. In fact, you probably know about it for several days.
Yeah, Mel, that was a foul. At least he went for the ball. He had the presence of mind to try to reach for the basketball. 8th team foul. Of course, when you get to 10, it will be an automatic 2-shot situation.
Well, this may work out because Lou Rowe is only a 61% free throw shooter. The big freshman from New Jersey converts. And it is now a 12-point lead for UMass.
Well, Lou Rowe hasn't done too many things wrong in this ball game.
And with that hoop, he has tied his career high. The freshman who's been in only 5 games, he's scoring a lot more points for John Calipari in the future. Simon down low, rejected by Rowe.
Can't take that stuff in here. I mean, Lou Rowe, get it out of here, big guy.
Get it out of Anchorage and send it back to the lower 48.
Simon did not expect anyone to contest that shot. Lou Rowe said,
And the foul will send Anton Brown to the line. Look at that block.
Yeah, great timing on the block. Knocked it off the glass, kept it in play.
Brown with a miss, so here comes New Orleans again. Down by 13. Myvet for 3.
Yeah, I think Myvet has to look to shoot the ball a little bit more than he's doing. I mean, he just does not look to score because he's been moved from the 2 spot to the 1. He's so concerned with running the offense, he's not looking for a shot. Pretty good shooter.
10-point game with under 3 minutes to go. Massachusetts nursing the lead as Herndon kicks over to Barbie, and he was fouled on the ground by Garrett. A couple of misses by UMass, allowing New Orleans to creep a little bit closer, as you see Tim Floyd talking with his freshman. Really, their only strategy at this point is to hope that UMass does not convert, because time is a problem.
And that's, of course, why they put the rules in, that when you get to 10 fouls and a half, automatic 2 shots. Barbie puts the first one down.
That is 10 fouls. Barbie, 6'6" junior. Plays a lot bigger than 6'6". Talking with him before the game, he said, you know, I don't mind it if the guys I'm playing are bigger. In fact, I like the challenge. And he likes it right there, rejecting Irvin Johnson. 6'6" against 6'11", and 6'6" wins.
Yeah, Johnson brought the ball down, but shows right there that maybe he needs something to turn around. He tries to bring it to the basket, look to turn around, use his size, and release the ball.
And UMass just playing keep away at this point as we approach the 2-minute mark. Here's McCoy to Barbie. Oh, lefty, no. Williams, no. And they get the loose ball.
Yeah, good decision. Now bring it back out and use some more clock. And I think New Orleans now has to take a foul. Even though you're in the 2 situation, got to come out and get him.
Herndon between the legs.
No, he's going for it. Now they get him with a foul.
So Brown will go to the line, fouled by Dyer.
Not much else you can do in that situation.
The Minutemen expected to battle Temple for the Atlantic 10 title this year. Four starters back. As you see, Dyer sitting down.
Actually, that conference has 4 or 5 teams, really, that, you know, George Washington has a good club, as does St. Joe's. Duquesne beat UAB earlier this year, so West Virginia, Gail Catlett's club, always tough. But Temple, the early season favorite. But this club's going to cause some problems.
Well, they are small, but very athletic.
And experienced. And Rowe gives them another dimension. I mean, if he comes in and plays the way he did tonight, gives them a little more size, another skilled big man, something that they're missing.
Brown gives his club a 14-point lead with 1:45 to go.
No. Only thing you can do, but
Garrett launching for 3, off the mark, and another foul. It's funny, we're talking with John Calipari from UMass yesterday, and he intimated that he doesn't quite have a psychic, but there's a friend of his on the East Coast, a woman that kind of has an intuition about how his club will do. And we pressed him yesterday. We said, well, what did she tell you? Did she tell you you're going to win this whole thing? And he said, I can't say, but
I think she did.
But, well, if she did, she was right. All he would say was that I'm smiling right now, and that's it. And looks like UMass will come away.
Very
the 49th
start.
State with a championship in the Great Alaska Shootout.
Yeah, 5-0.
Garrett missing again. Johnson loses the ball out of bounds.
Garrett's really had a tough go of it. I mean, he misses a breakaway. 2 3-pointers he can't get home. Really had a relatively easy shot along the baseline. There was not a lot of congestion. Just could have gone ahead and put that one in, but didn't.
Give it back to the Privateers here with 1:27 to play. Well, Garrett got that one.
Well, nice to see the young guy get a basket.
He is in the scorer's book as they try to put the pressure on Mike Williams, and another foul. 66-52, 14-point Minuteman lead. And one thing, when you make the long trip from the East Coast all the way to Alaska, it's nice to come away with 3 victories.
In fact, the host team had a couple of victories in this tournament. Alaska Anchorage, I think they got 2 wins.
Coming up, 2:30 Eastern Time, Bobby Bonilla, a talented Pirate, trading in the Pirate uniform to join the New York Mets for megabucks.
That's what you get paid, right, Larry?
Something short of megabucks.
I thought you got 28 million or 29.
Just shy of that. Actually, Dan, if I had your money, I'd burn mine.
Yeah, right.
Long miss by the Privateers.
Another
Simon blocked again.
How many block shots has UMass had? Probably 6 or 7.
Harper Williams with a little razzle-dazzle behind the back for the big man. I think he stepped out of bounds, though. UMass enjoying the final few minutes of this ball game. And why not? Up 15.
Surprising easy win. I thought UMass might win this game, but not by the margin that they've accomplished. But their interior defense and perimeter guard play paid off, and New Orleans just couldn't crack it. I mean, they just couldn't get the lead either. I mean, this is not a club that's going to play great catch-up because they can't force turnovers.
And Simon fouls Herndon.
Herndon's a glider, isn't he? I mean, for 6'3", he just kind of glided on the baseline and dumped it.
6'3" and real strong. He defended the big man most of the game, Simon as well as Irvin Johnson, and really did not give away a lot inside. And Simon heading to the bench. That is 5 personals he has fouled out. Frustrating night for the talented sophomore, who is not used to being defended like that in the paint, as Herndon hits.
Well, that's a good experience night for him. I mean, he's still learning. He's going to have a very good year this year for New Orleans, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of big games for him before it's over.
Final 30 seconds here. Bennett with a miss. Outlet pass to Herndon.
Travel. No. Good try, but one too many.
Would have counted in the NBA.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely would have counted. No question it would have counted. And he could have used one more.
Here is Garrett. Well, that's 3 layups in a row, so at least he'll come away feeling a little bit better about himself. But Massachusetts comes to Alaska and comes away with the championship of the Great Alaska Shootout as Brown puts it up, and that'll do it. 68-56. UMass led by 9 at the half. They saw the Privateers of New Orleans come within 4, but answered with a rally of their own and then pulled away at the finish for a victory by 12. That'll do it from the 49th state. Now we'll throw it back to Jim Valvano and John Saunders in our studios in Connecticut. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, gentlemen, thanks a lot. 68-56 is the final. UMass, the champions of the 14th Great Alaska Shootout. And Jim Valvano, as we take a look at UMass, you might want to call them vampires or something. They only come out at night to get these wins.
I know Dan was talking about they had this woman who gives them what's going to happen in the future. Well, take a look at it. Nobody likes to play at midnight except UMass. They have the Midnight Madness, which has become a big thing up in Amherst. And then they played Siena at midnight. And all their games in the Great Alaskan Shootout. Well, what time? 8 o'clock out there. What time here? Midnight. See, they schedule all his games that way. But you're looking at a coach. We talked about it before, and it's true. A rising star. It's not going to go unnoticed that John Calipari has taken the UMass program from down here to compete with the best in the Atlantic 10 and maybe give Temple a run for that top spot.
Yeah, it could be interesting when they play Temple. Temple works out at 5 and 6 in the morning, and then they have to play at midnight.
This is going to be a great one. They'll be practicing while they're playing, something like that.
It should be fun in the Atlantic 10 this year. Back with more in just a moment. The Great Alaska Shootout for 1991 is now history. And the champions, the Minutemen of UMass, as they knock off the Privateers of New Orleans 68-56. run things at the Great Alaska Shootout. So would it be tough for Rick Pitino against his alma mater? No, it wouldn't be. All-time leading scorer Jim McCoy hits the short jumper. They're up by 4, but then it was time for the Monster Mash to take over. Jamal Mashburn inside the nice dish by Martinez. Kentucky within 1. Moments later, Mashburn the three-pointer. Kentucky up 2 and up to stay. Mashburn the dribble, the drive, the 10-foot jumper. Kentucky by 9. Late in the game, Mashburn again. The monster on the board just strips everyone, then off the glass. John Calipari isn't going to get the win on the road in this one. 90-69 is the final. Mashburn 28 points and 10 rebounds. Kentucky 4 of 18 from three-point range, so that has to concern Rick Pitino. Back with more in just a moment. We're at halftime of game number 2 on day number 3 of the ACC.
35-40, yeah, 45, still 100 feet midfield, and out of bounds at the 10. Oh, out of bounds, there you go. There is the flag on Charles Timmery, and Gibbons is hurt.
Single man right, snap to Miller. Miller looks in trouble.